Okay, so I decided yesterday on June 2nd that I wanted to attempt to read 30 books in the month of June in order to average out a book a day. Not the best decision considering I'm going to be out of town for like 4 to 5 days this month, which means we're going to have to do some we're gonna have to read some poetry and some graphic novels in order to make this work out. Also, today's June 3rd, and I'm already 2 books behind. So, love this intro. However, on June 1st, I did, in fact, DNF a book, and I'm counting it. And that was Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. So, yeah, it wasn't for me. I had an ARC that I got from the publisher via the Goodreads giveaway. Didn't work for me. So there's that. So I know this is not the best angle in the world, but it's what I have in the moment. I just finished reading the second book for this list, and it's currently June 6th, so clearly I'm still super behind. But I finished reading A Ship of Bones and Teeth, I believe it's called. It's by Karina Halley. This is a dark Little Mermaid retelling, but not in the way you think. This actually follows Ariel, except she's not called Ariel, after she's met Prince Eric and like fallen in love and gotten married. And Eric sucks. And the two of them get kidnapped by a pirate, and the pirate is the love interest. I'm not someone who usually enjoys a dark romance. However, I think the key to getting me to enjoy a dark romance is to make it fantasy. Something about it being a fantasy makes me more comfortable with the idea that it's a dark romance. I don't know what it is, but I gave this 4.25 stars. The ending left a little bit to be desired for me personally, but overall, I was having a great time. So, yeah, it's also quite a long book. It could have been probably like 50 pages shorter. It's like 450 pages, but I enjoyed it, and I definitely want to read the second book that just came out. A couple little updates for you. It is June 10th. I have read a couple things as of the last couple of days. I just haven't gotten a chance to update you. So, first book that I finished, I actually can't tell you about much because it's for a different video. So, I will tell you it is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, and I really enjoyed it. So, if you want to hear more information about it, you'll have to watch that vlog when it comes out. I also picked up 3 graphic novels yesterday that I just kind of flew through to try to get myself back on track with this. The first one was actually not a full graphic novel. It was just a comic, which I did not realize when I picked it up. And it's called She's Running on Fumes, and it's by Dennis Hopeless. Because it's only like, 40 pages? 20 pages, 28 pages. I can't give you a ton of information on it without spoiling anything because it is technically just the first issue of a comic. But this is it's told from the point of view of the daughter of a woman. She's telling the story of her mother. And it involves the relationship that she had with her father and some things that went down involving crime. That's what I can tell you. I gave it 2.5 stars. It was not my favorite thing in the world. It was just fine. The art style was really good, but the story itself, I just wasn't super vibing with. So, 2.5 stars. The next one that I read was actually really, really great, and that was Nailbiter, Volume 1 by Joshua Williamson. I actually gave this 4 stars. Yes, I gave it 4 stars solid. I would love to continue this. However, I realized that the upcoming volumes are not, in fact, included in a Comixology Unlimited subscription. So, I don't know. Maybe I won't end up continuing it after all. Nailbiter is about this town that is just known for sort of birthing serial killers. Over the past like 200 years, there's been like 13 or some odd serial killers that have come from this town. And this man gets a call from a friend of his who's like, hey, I need your help. I've been doing some investigating here. And he's like, cool, I'll be right down. And he gets there and he can't find his friend. And that's kind of the starting point of the volume. Really enjoyed it, 4 stars. And the last thing that I read is Saga Volume 1 because everyone just loves this so much by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I gave this volume 3.75 stars. I really enjoyed following the couple and their baby within this story. However, we get a lot of points of view of the two groups that are trying to hunt them down, and that was not nearly as interesting. So had we just followed the couple, I think I would have given it probably like a 4.5, but yeah. So we officially have read 6 out of today's June 10th. So 6 out of the 10 books. So I will read some more graphic novels for sure to try to catch up on this and get like a little bit ahead, because I do have that wedding coming up next week. So I'll talk to you after I've read more things. So not the best angle, but it's what we've got. I just got back home from getting some Dutch because I did not sleep last night. Anyway, I'm here to let you know I read another book late last night during some sprints with the lovely Miss Katie Colson. I finished Heartless. Heartless? No, that's not what it's called. I finished This Is What Happens When You Don't Sleep. What's the name of the book? It's not Flawless, that's the first one. Hopeless? I finished Hopeless by Elsie Silver, which is the 5th book in the Chestnut Spring series, but I am reading it for a different video, which means all I'm going to tell you is that I gave it 5 stars, and it was fabulous. So, one more book down. We're getting another car update on a different day, because this is when I have a minute to update you. So, it is currently June 15th, and I have read a couple more books. I finished the audiobook for A Perilous Undertaking by Deanna Raybourn. I gave this 4.5 stars, which is also what I gave the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series, but I did enjoy this one just a tad bit more, purely because the mystery was just a little bit more interesting. I have already started the audiobook for the 3rd. My goal is to get through the 4th book by like end of the month so that I can watch Kayla's spoilery vlog that she uploaded recently for the 4th book. So that has been read. Really enjoying that series. It's a good 10. I also read 2 poetry books. One is Valkyrie by Sophia Elaine Hansen. I gave that 2.75 stars. It was a lot shorter than the other collections I've read from her. And it was just very repetitive because it all kind of had the same theme. It was good, just not what I'm used to with her writing. It didn't compare to her other stuff. Then I also read Will You Still Love Me If I Love Her by Lauren Elizabeth Taylor, which is, it's like a 20-page collection. It's very short. It was good, nothing great. Gave it 3 stars, I think. I think it was 3 stars. Some solid poems, nothing particularly amazing. It was just fine. And then I also finished the graphic novel for Crema by Johnny something. I can't remember the author's name. But it was really cute. I really liked the art style. I only gave it 3 stars. 3 stars? 3.5 stars? I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I really loved the historical components to the story, but there was just nothing about it that really, like, I don't know. It's a cute little sapphic historical romance. I enjoyed it. I talked about coffee a lot. Some of the art was a little bit confusing, and some of the character interactions I didn't quite understand the significance of. So I think if it had been a little bit longer, I would have liked it a little bit more, so that that information could have been fleshed out a little bit more. But I did really enjoy it, and I would definitely read more from that author and look at more from that illustrator. Hey, this is pretty much the version of me you are going to get for the remainder of this video, because this tattoo is fresh and it hurts. Also, my dog is trying to chew on her toy directly next to me, and she keeps bringing it back. So, today the 26th or the 27th, I believe it's the 26th, and you're just gonna have to deal with the dog chewing noises. So, I did finish 3 books last night, shocker. I finished the audiobook for Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour, and I gave this, it was last night, so I don't even remember. I think I gave this like a 3.75-ish. I'll put the actual number on the screen if that's not correct. It was very cute, very nice, but it just didn't do for me what I was hoping it would. I technically finished this on the last day for Lalathon, so technically I did not finish this yesterday. I finished this the day before. That's right. I did really enjoy it. It just wasn't amazing. We follow a girl who is going to this pretty off-the-grid kind of group home situation to be kind of like a homeschooling teacher
type thing for some of the kids there, and there's some ghosts on the property, and that's about all I can tell you. It's very short. It was quick, sweet, to the point. Not my favorite Nina LaCour. I also finished The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. This one I also finished on the very last day of Lalathon so that I could actually like get some books done, which I'm sure you've heard about this at this point, but this lady realizes that men keep coming out of her attic, and she ends up married to them, and everything in her house starts to change based on the man that comes down, which is kind of how she deals with this. So I gave this, I believe, a 4.5 star. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the sort of commentary that we got. I really enjoyed where the story started going at one point. I did thoroughly enjoy the ending, but it just something made it not quite a 5 star. I don't totally know what it was, but I did thoroughly enjoy this. And last night I also did read the entirety of a graphic novel, which was, what was it called? Spectre and Spectres. I'm really hoping that a second version of this comes out, like a second volume. That's the word for it. Really hoping a second volume comes out because I really enjoyed it. I gave this either a 4.5 or 4.75 stars. I truly can't remember. But if you have ever watched the show Owl House on Disney Plus, that art style, very similar to Spectre and Spectres. So I really enjoyed that. And in this story, we follow a group of early 20-somethings who are ghost hunters for a TV show situation. Not really a TV show, it's more like a web series. They film it themselves. One of them is technically in high school, actually, but the rest of them are in their 20s. And they're like filming this episode, and one of them gets possessed by a demon, and so they have to try to get this demon out of her, and that's the plot of the story. It's sapphic, it's amazing. I really want a second one. It was really cute. So this, so far, is what I would most recommend. And I'm still several books behind, and we have like 4 days left. I completely forgot. Last night I did, in fact, finish other books. I finished the audiobook for Salt the Water by Candace Ilo. Super, super short. The audiobook's only like 3 hours long, but I only gave it like a 2.5 stars. It was not my favorite. The issue that I had with this book, honestly, was purely a me issue. I'm sure most people will not have this issue, but as someone who is a teacher, I don't love reading books where teachers suck, specifically from the point of view of kids who think their teachers suck, and fully agree that the teacher in this book, terrible. He sucks. But I don't enjoy reading that, if that makes any sense. So I didn't love that. I also DNF'd an audiobook very, very quickly for The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. I've never read an Alexis Henderson. I have no problem reading another Alexis Henderson in the future. I have plenty of them on my TBR, but The Year of the Witching just didn't work for me. I don't even fully know what this book was about. I only made it about 15% into the audiobook before I just gave up on it. It was just, there's too much religion happening for my enjoyment. So it is June 27th. So we have a couple days left on this challenge. I did read a couple of different books last night. I read Youth Juice. I can't remember the name of the author. It's like E something and then it starts with an S. This is a book that I've been reading for a couple weeks. I started it just before Lalathon started, but then I wasn't sure if it applied to any challenges, so I didn't include it in that. So I just paused reading it, and then I just picked it up again this past week. So Youth Juice is a very short book. So if you need a short book, there you go. It's very similar in premise to Rouge by Muna Awad. So if you enjoyed that book, you might enjoy Youth Juice. If you did not enjoy Rouge, my dogs are barking, I'm so sorry. If you did not enjoy Rouge, but you still liked the premise of it, but you just didn't like the execution, you might like Youth Juice. It's significantly shorter. It's like 288 pages. It's a little less weird horror and more just like horror, but it is still a little weird. And I think the major difference between Rouge and Youth Juice is Rouge focuses on society's value on beauty, where the Youth Juice focuses more on society's view on specifically being youthful and how that's perceived as beauty. So it's not about makeup, it's about like maintaining your youth. So if that interests you, you might really like it. I gave it a 4.25. It's one of those books that I feel like is just gonna stick in my head, even though it wasn't amazing and life-changing. I feel like it's just gonna stick with me for a little bit. I also managed to finish Here for the Right Reasons by Jodi McAllister. The whole reason I was reading this book to begin with is because I'm interested in the second book in the series, which I can't remember what it's called, but it's Sapphic. And so I was like, well, if I'm gonna read the second book, I may as well go read the first book so that I like see the little, you know, intertwined situations, because romance series just do that. So this book follows a girl who basically goes on The Bachelor, but she's eliminated the first night. But she is super broke and needs the money that this show is going to give her. And so the lead is like, hey, I have an idea. And then there's an idea that like keeps her making some money without actually being on the show. It's a thing. It was great. Was loving it until about, I would say about 200 pages in, and then it started getting very repetitive. Definitely could have been a lot shorter. It did not need to be so long. But I did enjoy it up until the point where it started getting repetitive. So if it had just been shorter, I would have liked it a lot more. I think I gave it 3.5 stars, maybe 3.25. I did also read Saga Volume 2. I read Volume 1 earlier in this video. Volume 2, I don't think I enjoyed as much as Volume 1. I think I just gave it a solid 4 stars. I am still really enjoying Saga. I do think I'll be continuing because it's on the Comixology Unlimited whatever, the comic version of KU. So I think I'll stick with it, at least for now. Same day, but a nap later. I did actually forget to tell you about one other book that I DNF'd last night. It was a graphic novel. I got like 25 pages in and it wasn't for me. It was called Dracula, Son of the Dragon, something like that. It was way more political fantasy than I thought. I thought it was gonna be more like horror fantasy. There was just a lot of talk of like, this person is the son of this king and we need to go do this thing and determine this information from this person, and like it was a very like political fantasy situation and it wasn't my vibe, so I DNF'd that. Hello, coming to you from the cupboard because today is June 28th and last night I read a couple more books. I do have my spreadsheet pulled up in front of me on my handy dandy laptop so that I can make sure that I actually tell you all the things I finished reading last night, because it was actually a solid number. Like I'm almost caught up, y'all. I didn't have faith in myself, and you definitely didn't either, but we're here. So there were 5 things I finished last night. The first was Chew, Volume 1, and I didn't love it. I gave it 2.5 stars. The beginning of it, I was down for. The premise, fabulous. It's about this man who works somewhere in the government. Is he a police officer? I can't remember. But he is able to, when he eats something, he understands like the memories of that thing. I know that sounds very strange, but like if you eat an apple, he knows what tree that apple came from, where that tree was grown, who grew it, all that kind of thing. Except with beets. Beets are the only things he can eat and not have memories associated. So he's been like solving crimes. It's very iZombie, but it's not as good as iZombie. Like I said, 2.5 stars. There were a lot of images of dead animals, which I did not love. And that's pretty much my thoughts on Chew. I also read Saga Volume 3. This is the last volume of Saga I'm going to read before my free trial of Comixology runs out. It was good. It was my least favorite of all of them, I think. I gave it 3.25 stars. It was good. It was solid, but not my favorite. I'm not super invested in the story. I probably won't continue, but maybe. I also read a poetry collection, Please Do Not Touch This Exhibit by Jen Campbell. Super short, like 61 pages. It mostly chronicles Jen, who, if you don't watch her channel, I don't know what you're doing. She's lovely. She's lovely to listen to. Even if you don't like the same books as her, listening to her voice, beautiful. It details a lot of her childhood spent in hospitals and then kind of continuing throughout her life. So if you don't want to read about being in a hospital, maybe don't check this out. I thought it was really beautiful though. I gave it 4.75 stars simply because there were a few poems that went over my head. I was not smart enough for them. So it DNF'd Umbrella Academy Volume 1, which, to be fair, I know everyone loves the TV show. I only ever watched the first episode. I do have an interest in going back. However, the graphic novel just was not hitting. I was bored. I got how many pages in? Like 30? I just gave up. I can't even really tell you what it's about besides the fact that there's several children, and that's about it. And then finally, I read the graphic novel for When I Arrived at the Castle by Emily Carroll, which, beautiful. I gave it 4 stars, so I did not like it as much as I liked Through the Woods, which I read several years ago. Simply because I needed more from the beginning of this story because I started out so confused. The art, beautiful. The general story, by the time I got to the end of it, loved it. But I needed more at the beginning so that it didn't feel so lost until that last like 7 pages. So I just wanted more out of it, which is not a bad thing. So I would definitely recommend it if you're into a horror graphic novel, just a single standalone, there's not all these different volumes, and you want like gothic fairy tale vibes. Super quick update for you on The Little Guide to Taylor Swift, because I'm actually reading this for a different video, but I'm just letting you know, I read this. I gave it 3 stars. Really quick update. I am running out to feed my friend's dogs, and I thought I would let you know I did finish the audiobook for A Treacherous Curse by Deanna Raybourn. It's the 3rd book in the Veronica Speedwell series and my least favorite so far. I'm giving this one a 3.75 because it just, the middle of it wasn't clicking up here. The first book I really enjoyed. The second book I enjoyed even more, even though they did in fact get the same rating. They both got, I think, a 4.5. This one gets the 3.75 because I did have a hard time following what was happening in the middle of it. But the general premise of it, top tier. It just didn't, I wasn't following it in the way that I was able to the last 2. So, not as great. We'll be reading the 4th one as soon as possible. But I have 3 books left to read by tomorrow at midnight. So, let's see if we can do this. We're back in the counter because I read my last 3 books and it's still only the 29th. So the first book that I read was He's Making You Crazy by Kristen Doty. If you have never heard of Kristen Doty, she's from the Bravoverse. If you're not interested in the Bravoverse, you'll have no interest in this book. If you have an interest in her, you know who she is, you know what to expect. So I'm not really going to walk you through this. This was a good book. It was short, just kind of fine. I think I gave it 3.25 stars. Like, it was good, but nothing special. I also listened to the audiobook for 2 of the sort of meet cute novella short story situations that Amazon put out from a bunch of different romance authors. I had already read the Christina Lauren one and enjoyed it. So I read the Abby Jimenez one, which was called Worst Wingman Ever, and I gave it 5 stars. I've never read an Abby Jimenez book, but I think I may have been convinced because this one was really cute. Because these stories are so short, I don't want to tell you too much, but each of them follows a mate cute. It's not about the couple like and their relationship, it's about how they meet. So in Worst Wingman Ever, it involves a misplaced note that leads to like a pen pal ship. Then the Sally Thorne one was called Rosie and the Dreamboat. I gave this one a 4.25. This follows a girl who's at a spa with her sister, and she gets trapped in what I can only envision as being like a tanning bed. And this man comes to rescue her, kind of. The reason I did not give this a 5-star because I did thoroughly enjoy it, especially the audiobook. If you want to read this particular story, listen to the audio, because when she's in the tank, anytime someone is outside of the tank and talking to her, they actually like muffle it just slightly to make it sound like you're actually in the tank. Very cool. Loved that. But the reason that this did not get 5 stars is because the actual meet cute felt a little insta-lovey. I don't know how I can possibly say that when this is like a short story, but it's just the situation that they were in felt a little unlikely for the connection to actually form, if that makes any sense. So that puts me at 30 books in 30 days, technically 29 days, if you really want to count it, because it's 8 p.m. on June 29th. So I'm gonna go edit this video for you. We should be proud of me. I'm proud of me. Anyway, I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.